First of all, thank you to the Hillman Foundation. I am really delighted to present the second annual SEIU Award for reporting on racial and economic justice. Again, I'm the president of SEIU Local 32BJ. We're based here in New York, but my local represents 185,000 office cleaners, security officers, doormen and porters here in New York City, maintenance workers and airport workers, window cleaners up and down the East Coast in 12 states and the District of Columbia. And on behalf of our SEIU family, we're committed to advancing racial and economic justice, and this award is an outgrowth of the union's commitment to becoming truly an anti-racist organization. SEIU is thrilled to be part of this annual celebration of journalism, and we thank the Hillman judges for selecting such a perfect honoree for this award. Most of us know prison labor is a thing that exists, but it may not be a concept we've given much thought. Now we cannot look away. Associated Press reporters Margie Mason and Robin McDowell spent 2 years on this investigation. They filed public record requests in all 50 states, and as you saw, they followed prison-raised cattle from prison gates to an auction house in Baton Rouge, and then on to a slaughterhouse 600 miles away in Texas. They crisscrossed the country. They staked out prisons and county jails. They tailed inmate transfer vans to work release sites such as Tyson's Foods and fast food restaurants. And they were able to connect the labor of today's incarcerated workers with some of the most profitable corporations in this country, including Burger King, Walmart, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and Kroger's. They found that these companies had contradicted their claims, and they exposed where those profits originated. The other important thread they illuminated is through the through line between today's practices of the system of enslavement, the through line to convict leasing through the Civil War, the through line to a time when black men were rounded up on petty charges and forced to work in private companies in dangerous conditions that helped build American businesses. Prison laborers are still subject to grueling working conditions. Prisoners don't receive the training or the protective equipment guaranteed to most other full-time workers. And if they refuse to work, they may be sent to solitary confinement, and their chances of parole could be jeopardized. In a great irony, the AP's reporting also exposed how we export these prison-made goods across the globe, even though the US government bans the import of prison-made products from other countries. Curtis Davis, that former inmate at Angola in Louisiana, the largest maximum security prison in the US, says he's fighting to change the state laws that allow forced labor in prisons. As he said, slavery has not been abolished. It's still operating in the present tense. Nothing has changed. Our eyes have been opened, and we cannot look away. Please welcome Margie Mason to the stage to receive this award.
Wow, I'm just overwhelmed to be, sharing a stage with so many, with the winners tonight, and seeing this amazing journalism that is flourishing despite so many challenges that we face in this industry. I just want to say congratulations to everybody. And tonight, what I would like to do is kind of share a personal story with you about 2 AP reporters who met on the other side of the world more than 20 years ago. Robin McDowell and I were among few women based in remote corners of Southeast Asia. And so we naturally gravitated toward each other. We worked together on big breaking news, from earthquakes to terrorism attacks, and eventually we started doing investigations that grew bigger and broader. In 2015, we exposed slavery in the seafood industry, finding horrors on an Indonesian island so remote it wasn't on most maps. We discovered some migrant fishermen, mostly from Burma, locked in a cage. And we found the remains of others buried under fake names in a graveyard on a beach. We traced the fish they were catching back to some of America's biggest companies. After the stories published, more than 2,000 enslaved men were freed and repatriated. Thank you. And so that was our first chapter, writing about workers' rights and labor abuses. We had no idea then, but that work would extend for the next 10 years. It led us to look at the $65 billion palm oil industry, where we discovered migrant workers from a number of countries were being tricked and trafficked onto remote plantations. We found young children being forced to work, and we talked to women who were being abused and raped in the fields. The palm oil they harvested in Indonesia and Malaysia was spiderwebbing into the supply chains of the world's biggest companies, going into makeup, ice cream, and even Girl Scout cookies. That work resulted in the US government blocking shipments of palm oil for the first time. And we were proud to receive the Hillman Prize for it, which brought more attention to these labor abuses in an industry many Americans knew little about. When we returned to the US during the pandemic, little did we know we would start the third installment of this reporting looking at other marginalized workforce that's often forgotten. We wondered why incarcerated workers were forced to make face masks and hand sanitizer while other Americans were told to stay home. And then we asked, why do prisoners not have the same rights and protections if hurt or killed on the job? And how is it that some are working in triple-digit heat for pennies an hour or nothing at all in the same fields where slaves once toiled, often facing punishment if they refuse? Those questions led to the 2-year project being recognized here tonight, resulting in some of the world's largest companies cutting ties with prison farms or third-party suppliers. Robin and I are incredibly honored to receive this SEIU Award. We would like to thank our editor, Kristen Gasley, who came out of retirement to work her magic, offering her skill and unwavering support, just as she did on the other stories I mentioned. Many of you may not be aware of this, but Robin left in January. She left the AP. So this is our last AP project together. And for us to be honored with an award meant to shine a light on racial and economic justice is perhaps more fitting than anything we could ever ask for. We are humbled to be among the journalists whose work is also being highlighted here tonight. All of it possible only through the press freedoms guaranteed to us under the First Amendment. And we thank the Sidney Hillman Foundation for continuing to amplify the work of 2 women who have spent their careers crisscrossing the globe, always driven to expose open secrets and hold power to account. Thank you.